Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're talking about an interesting tank, which is the M48 Patton. It's probably not the most played medium tank at tier 10, and understandably so. It's pretty mediocre at a lot of the things it really does. Now, if you compare this tank to the STB-1, which is going to be its direct sort of counterpart, you can see a lot of things that the M48 Patton is lacking in, but at the same time, I mean, the M48 is just a standard medium tank with a few good things and a few bad things about it, and nothing too particularly interesting about it, in my opinion. Now, the biggest weakness of this tank is going to be the mobility. 48 kilometers forward with a pretty okay power to weight ratio is not that amazing. 40 kilometers per hour is worse than some heavy tanks at tier 10. And you're supposed to be a medium, right? I mean, this is one thing I've never really understood. Look at the size of this thing and then compare it to the E50M. I mean, the E50M is probably bigger, if not the same. And, I mean, it flies around the map at 60 kilometers forward. That is just unreal. On top of that, this tank doesn't have the best, gun depression, which is only 8 degrees, because the turret on this thing is great, especially if you go hull down. I mean, you're supposed to have a really solid turret, but only 8 degrees of gun depression. I mean, 10 degrees would have been perfect. I mean, 8 is not always enough. I mean, the E50M also has 8 degrees of gun depression, so, I mean, in that regard, it's not the greatest. Now, the DPM on this thing is pretty standard, at 3,500 and a half. It's pretty good. Sometimes, you can shred tanks to bits. It's great in that regard. The weapon handling is also pretty decent for a medium tank. It's okay, It's nothing spectacular. I mean, the aim time is a little bit worse than the STB-1, while the accuracy is a little bit better than that of the STB-1. So you get some, you lose some. But in that regard, the STB is going to be faster than this tank. It's going to have 11 degrees of gun depression, and it's going to also have a really solid turret. So at the start of the game, when you start off, I mean, in the M48, can you really get to a position faster than a heavy tank? No, probably not, because some heavy tanks are definitely going to be faster than you, right? I mean, compared to your average heavy tank, of course, it's going to get there faster. But there are some exceptions in the heavy tank lines, and you might get outperformed by a heavy tank in terms of mobility. On top of that, the weapon handling and the gun is, there's no question about it. It's pretty good, right? But the other part about it is, again, the 8 degrees of gun depression. When you get to a position, can you fully utilize your turret all the time? Probably not, because, I mean, the STB gets 11 degrees of gun depression, while the M48 only gets 8. That is a big weakness in my opinion, and this tank doesn't really go anywhere. It's not an all-round tank like an E50M, for example. It's not a niche tank like the STB-1 either, because the STB-1 does it's great at what it does. It's great at going hull down. While the M48 Patton is, meh. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that amazing in my opinion. Again, in comparison to the STB, I think in my tier list, I probably put the M48 in average and the STB in below average, I think. Or did I put the STB in average? I don't really remember, but I would definitely put the M48 below this now, at least in my opinion, just because of the fact that it does have some major weak holes in its game, and maybe a little bit of tweaking is quite necessary, because sometimes the mobility is not there, sometimes the gun depression is not there, and overall I really don't know what to do with this tank. Is it a hull down tank? Is it an all-round tank? I don't know, because the 140, for example, has a specific purpose: always on the move, shoot on the move. STB go hull down, E50M all-rounder, and this tank, I really don't know. So tell me in the comment section below what you guys think about this tank, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.